Minute and 57 seconds later, Aj McKee is now $1 million richer. Oh, and he has the featherweight belt in Bellator. We're getting right into it right now.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the 11th Island. I'm Brad. That's Chris. Special guest Brock here again. We're back 20 minutes later after the UFC instant reaction, and Bellator just ended. Aj McKee submits Patricio Pitbull in the first round, minute 57 seconds in, and I'm going to tell you right now, a star was born tonight. Aj McKee is the real deal. No disrespect to Bellator, is coming near this page. Aj McKee could walk into the top 3 in the UFC in the featherweight division, be competitive, maybe win. I'm telling you, Aj McKee's a top 3 featherweight in the world. Showed it tonight. Patricio Pitbull is a monster. He's the Bellator GOAT. And you walk in and you brutalize him like that. Aj McKee was bred for this moment. His father competes in Bellator still. They fought on the same card. And Aj McKee has been grown up in Bellator. You've seen him grow to a superstar that he is now. And to cap it off like this, $1 million don't hurt either. Like this, what'd you guys think of the performance?
Blown away. There's nothing else to say right there.
Yeah. It was like Chris, what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, anytime you can say words like choked out on the feet, technical submission, won against Pitbull. These things are all words that you just don't expect to hear. And we've seen McKee be able to find those first round finishes, but never like this, never in such a moment, never against such a guy.
Yeah, it's always been the shot. It's like, the Bellator competition is a little bit lower. Let's be fair. Patricio Pitbull knocked out Michael Chandler in a minute and a half. Michael Chandler was just about 10 seconds away from being the UFC lightweight champion of the world, and Patricio Pitbull fights at featherweight. So Aj McKee is that dude. Aj McKee, I mean, what's next for Aj McKee, we can get into in a little bit, but he can do whatever the hell he wants next. And the $1 million, I mean, the featherweight World Grand Prix, I love the World Grand Prix format for Bellator. Bellator's got to do something different for the title thing. When you put $1 million on the line, it adds that little bit extra. In the format for the kind of playoff Grand Prix format, it's interesting.
And it brings in fans to the sport. I mean, Scott Coker's always talked about how we need to bring in fans from other sports, people from outside MMA, and of course UFC is always going to draw, because it just gets more publicity, is going to draw those fans in as the first step. But the Grand Prix does a great way of intervening in that and saying, you're used to a sport where there's a regular season, a playoff, and it puts that playoff format in that all sports fans can understand. And it's just, and to be able to see, watch an event and see the streamers, or what are they called? The confetti fall, champagne being popped. It just makes sense to the casual fan, and to watch that. It's just absolutely incredible.
And obviously the fighters love. You get that extra belt at the end. It's a little bit diamond encrusted. It's Bellator's got a really good thing going. I mean, they got to figure it out. You can keep streaming on YouTube. You can't keep doing that. They're Showtime, but
I mean, the YouTube is very nice. I mean, we were watching UFC tonight, and we had it on one TV, and we had YouTube on the other, and our cable which is now streamed because that's how cable works, was buffering, and YouTube ran fine the whole time. This is where the fans are. This is where the people are. People are going to be finding streams wherever they may go. Might as well put it on YouTube and show your ads, show your anything you need to show. We saw, I mean, how many ads did we watching Bellator? But we saw them, and it was easy to watch, accessible. This is one of the biggest fights Bellator's had in a long time, and it was just put out for free. But the Bellator name grew, and Scott Coker made money tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be, I mean, for Bellator, this might be one of the top 5 fights in the history of their company. I think number 1 is going to be the Lima Mousasi that we saw, I believe that was earlier this year. But this is going to be top 5, especially when you launch a superstar like McKee. It's going to be difficult to keep him in the part of the company, I think. I think that will be difficult because suitors like the UFC will come. but Bellator is going to have to pay up big money for him over top of this $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the next thing is, what's next?
Well, before we get to that, I think one thing that we really have to, beyond the showmanship of it all, beyond just the flashiness of it all, I'm going to ask Brock first. Early stoppage, is that a question here?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No.
I mean, debatably late, because Pitbull, I mean, when McKee put his hands up and stepped back, the fight was over.
Mm-hmm.
It was all academic at that point. I mean, you give him Pitbull long enough, he might recover, but I mean, I think if anything, we're looking at this as a late stoppage. I do not think there's any controversy here. I mean,
no, especially being a title fight, they're gonna let it go for that little bit extra just to see, right?
But do you not agree that, like, in a normal fight, not title fight, they might stop it after that 100%.
Knockdown?
Yeah. So I don't think that's.
And I mean, I only asked the question just because what else are we going to talk about from a minute and 57 seconds? And I was just wondering, because you do have, like, there is a question about stoppage there where you have a moment where McKee just steps back, almost raises his hand, and it looked like, I mean, Pitbull's eyes were really rolling back there, and then you continue it. We were watching it, and it was just like, well, is it under? And it was it was just something we've never really seen, anything like that. But then to see a guy like Mike Beltran be at the helm, just so much experience, so much wisdom about the sport, I agree. You know, it's just like that fight was over.
Yeah, it was over. And looking what's next for Aj McKee here, and like there's a lot of things you can do here. I think the question be like, Aj McKee's probably going to dictate what he wants to do next. He kind of teased this before. I think Patricio Pitbull, even though he absolutely got dominated here, I think Patricio Pitbull has done enough in Bellator in this sport that I think an immediate rematch is warranted. But I'm going to throw a little twist into this, and it's been something that's been bothering me with Bellator for a long, long time. Pitbull holds the lightweight belt. He took it from Michael Chandler long time ago. He's not defended it since. So I'm going to say McKee, Pitbull, lightweight belt. Put that on the line and see if McKee can just strip him of the belts. But I like that. And McKee's in a position where he can say, you know what, like, I took your featherweight belt.
Yeah.
I took it in dominating fashion, so realistically, you shouldn't get the shot right again.
You set up a situation. I mean, if McKee can play ball here, you know, best case you end up with the lightweight belt as well, which if you're McKee, you're gonna be pretty confident you can do. Worst case, you lose that lightweight. Then it's kind of like, it's almost like a game of war where you attack him first on this front, you win that battle, and then you go after his capital, you know, and then you lose in the capital, and he sends you reeling back, and a trilogy back at 145. I mean, this is,
and
this
if you're
is money
Bellator,
for
that trilogy
everybody.
is huge. That becomes the biggest. That's the biggest fight in the company history.
So I think that despite just how brutal that victory was and how quick it happened, I think.
Well, it's a smart fighter IQ. Like, obviously, you realize when the fight wasn't done yet, and just go right in there for the standing guillotine.
Yeah, and I mean, a Pitbull to know that the guy's out, but we're not doing it. Like, we're still doing this, so it's like, okay, I'm just gonna wrap my arm around, and Pitbull's gonna be like, oh, thank goodness there's a way out against this guy right here.
Yeah, and if you're gonna gun to my head, who is he gonna fight at featherweight other than Pitbull? I give Mads Burnell. He won in the co-main tonight. That'd be a not bad fight to get him going. But also Dana White, pick up the phone, start dialing.
Yeah, you can try. You can try. Coker, you know, he's got moves now.
Exactly.
You know, and with Michael Chandler going into the UFC, you know, we said that Michael Chandler is doing well, being competent high up in that lightweight division is very good for Scott Coker. Well, I mean, it's not like this is Michael Chandler is the model now. It's Michael Chandler allows Bellator to prove itself.
Yeah.
And now Bellator can be like, well, we got our own thing going on that's comparable.
But it also shows that Aj McKee could walk into the UFC and be one fight away from a title shot there as well.
Yes.
And honestly, if Aj McKee decided to go to the UFC, I think he very much could walk in and get a title shot. And anything else?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think today truly And if you guys are casuals, no offense, and you don't watch Bellator, start watching Bellator. Truly, superstar was born tonight in Aj McKee. And other than that, make sure you like and subscribe. We're pumping out immediate reaction all the time. We pumped out one 15 minutes ago for the UFC Strickland versus Hall. Make sure you go check that out too. We got a giveaway coming announced this week for 250 subscribers. Make sure to check that out. All the immediate reactions, CFL content. Thank you to special guest Brock for coming on for these 2 videos tonight. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you later.
Thanks for
Bye,
watching.
everybody.